for coming. Our special meeting, we don't have any invocation or pledge, but we want to get started. This is our first public meeting on our budget. We'll have this one. We have another one scheduled for the 27th. That meeting is our meeting that we're actually having the 26th. We're scheduling it as a special meeting, and it's just going to be geared on the budget. That meeting on the 27th will be the first reading of the budget, and June 9th will be the second reading. So what we want to do today is get each department to come up, speak about their projects, what's going on. Council here has had the information for 6 weeks, so they have some time to look it over, and maybe make some notes, get some questions. So hopefully they'll be prepared to go tonight with everything that you guys might be able to answer for them. Oh, you're doing something there, Miss Brenda? All right, while she's doing that, one of the things, we actually have a mission statement that we want to, and I've given it all to council. We're going to read that to start with, what I gave to you guys. We were discussing when we needed to do that, but since this is our first time doing it, I'm just going to do it now, and then obviously as we move forward. But let me read this to you, and I can make a copy for everybody that would need that, but here it starts. Shepherdsville gears up for another year of progress, focused on quality of life and infrastructure improvements. As the city of Shepherdsville prepares to enter a new fiscal year, excitement is building around a slate of projects designed to enhance the quality of life for its families and bolster the city's infrastructure. Despite a conservative projection of a modest 2.26 revenue increase, the city is committed to making significant strides in key areas without burdening residents with tax hikes. Make a point, we've not raised 1 penny in taxes, even borrowing the $30 million and the $10 million that we're infusing to all of our projects. Building upon the momentum of previous years, the upcoming budget prioritizes major projects that will transform Shepherdsville's landscape. The city is pushing forward with a range of highly anticipated developments, including the Aquatic Center, providing much-needed recreational hub for residents for all ages. The Town Square, creating a vibrant and welcoming gathering space in the heart of the city. The all-inclusive playground, ensuring accessibility and engaging play opportunities for all children of all abilities. Amphitheater, offering a venue for community events, performances, and cultural experiences. Skate park, providing a dedicated space for skateboarding enthusiasts to hone their skills and connect with others. Beyond these flagship initiatives, the city recognizes the importance of maintaining and improving existing infrastructure. A comprehensive review of the city roads, drainage system, and sidewalks is underway to identify areas in need of repair. Funds have been allocated in both the current and upcoming budgets to address these vital concerns, ensuring safer and more accessible streets for all residents. The city's administration emphasizes its commitment to responsible fiscal management by carefully prioritizing resources, identifying efficiencies. Shepherdsville has consistently achieved its goals without resorting to tax increases, making that a mention again. This approach will continue to guide the city's budgeting process in the upcoming year. To ensure transparency and open communication, the city of Shepherdsville will be publishing its budget summary ordinance and detailed line item budget report. These documents will provide residents with clear understanding of how their tax dollars are being allocated and the progress being made on key projects. We are in a good position financially to continue improving infrastructure and connectivity. These are exciting times for Shepherdsville as we work together to build a stronger, more vibrant community for all. With a focus on strategic investment, responsible budgeting, and a commitment to enhancing the quality of life for its residents, Shepherdsville is poised for another year of positive growth and progress. So I want to tell you, you're all a part of that. So this mission is about what we're going to give to our public, about what each department's going to be adding to this year's budget. So I'm excited about this. It's our mission statement. I think we're going to do well because we've got you. So thank you all very much for that. A couple of grocery notes before we get started and start calling up each of the departments. I wanted to make sure we add a couple things here. One of the things that you all will notice, if you make comparisons in last year's budget, the budget was only increased in expenditures 1%. If you look at actually in each department, if you look at a comparison from 25 to the 26 budget that you have in front of you, you will see things in front of you that may be some changes on a project that was big last year. If you see a reduction, that's probably because that was a one-time project. So if you have, those are the questions that the departments want to see and hear from you guys of what is it? Why is this number high? Why was it low last year? Why was it low last year and why is it high this year? Just figuring out how they're going to ask you those questions. And then again, each of the departments need to make sure that if any major projects, your mission for your department, I think the council want to hear that as well. So along with that, I do have some requests. I want to kind of hold off, but I do want to make sure we made a change on your finances here. The only thing I want to make sure that you guys saw on your front page of the ordinance as we have it set up for the general fund, we made two changes on the very top. And I want to make sure this is very clear for you guys. If you look at the very top line, it says transfer in ARPA and bonds, okay? The reason that number was changed from 11 to 16, that's because we haven't spent the money of the 30 million. So what was allocated in the 14 million for the budget that we're in, we only spent 9 of that 14. So the other 5 had to be added to the last year of the budget. All that money will be spent by June 30th of 2026. But you need to know we had to actually show it there, right? Doesn't change the operational cost for any of the any of the departments on that. It just goes into the capital expenditures that you'll see that we've got planned. The only other difference we put in there, if you look originally, I had down a 1.8, and now it's 4.8. And the reason why it's 4.8 is because there's $3 million in capital projects in Public Works that has not been used yet. 1 million is for the playground that hasn't moved farther in its construction, so that had to be moved into next year's budget. Also, the $2 million for what we all call the ARPA building, that's not ARPA funds anymore. It's the funds that we moved over into general fund that have not been used to build a building. It's not built yet. So those $3 million were added, and they were added to Public Works. So we went from a 6.3 in Public Works to a 9.3. It's the only changes we made on the budgets that we gave originally to all the department heads and to you all. Now, after we discuss the departments and we go through everything, we will go through if we make any changes, and then we'll give you a complete new front sheet for the ordinance and also the long report, okay? So the important thing for you guys is just making sure that any notes, what we do, Angie's gonna make the notes. We'll give you a complete, accurate, any changes that we make in these discussions. Because we wanna make sure the first reading of it on the 27th, you have the most accurate, everything that we're doing as far as allocating that we've all agreed upon. All right, I'm sorry I talked too long. I'm trying to make it as quick as possible. But I just want to make sure you guys understand those first two numbers that were changed. All right? Any questions about those two? Are we good? All right. Well, thank you all for that. Thank you for giving me a few minutes here. Now, that said, let's get a roll call.
Bonnie? Here. Brad?
Here.
Jennifer?
Here.
Rob?
Here.
Faith? Here. And Mike?
Here.
All right. Well, thank you, council. All right. With that said, just to get it started and up and rolling here, we're going to bring admin. So, Angie, I got Brenda up here, but if you'll step up here for a minute. I'm so proud Angie doesn't have her boot on anymore after her surgery, so she's moving around. Yep, she's moving around like a normal human being again. If you come right up to that piece there and then just touch that button on the top, towards the front of it, it'll turn green. That way they can hear you. Right on the top, up, towards you, up, right there.
Oh, right there.
There you go.
All right.
All right. You might want to introduce yourself to everybody. You're kind of the,
Hi, I'm Angie Middall. I'm the finance director. I took over Tanya Taylor's place.
can't hear it, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Speak up.
I'm Angie Middall. I'm the finance director. I took over for Tanya Taylor after she left. We didn't really have a whole lot of changes with the admin budget. I think the main thing that we've had is we were able to, I guess, downsize. We lost one person, and we've been able to absorb that with the current staff. So we are down to 7 instead of 8 for admin. So that was a good thing. And then we're also looking at some GovOS, which is a new software that's going to help us streamline so that we can anticipate better what's coming in for revenue, like occupational taxes and things like that. We'll have an updated software that we're working on for that.
Okay. So just so you all know, we are going to stay with 7 staff members instead of 8. And if you look at their comparison versus last year, it's only $850. We didn't make a huge change in your budget because we are going with 1 less, but we also do have a 5% increase for all the employees. I want to make sure that everybody knows that. And so that was part of the budgetary process. We've had some other things that we're doing. Some of it falls into overhead, council. But I don't know if you have any questions specifically for admin. I know Angie's fairly new at it. I'm going to try to help her with that. And Brenda's also going to help her because this is actually her first budget. So if you guys have any questions, Mike, Faith, Rob, Brad, Bonnie.
What'd you say was budgeted for raises?
5% for the admin.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just
Then-
for admin
just-
department, or was that across?
Well, it's just
All
for
the
the admin. It's just for the admin
Just
department.
for-
It'll be different for each of the departments, and we'll go through that process with each one. But it's not across the board, it's just for that specific. There are a couple others we'll be discussing as well. Jennifer, anything for you on this one? Okay.
I had a question on this budget. Jenny and I had it digitally for a minute. I don't know if they're there yet. But there was a line, there were a few lines, but this one stuck out. Maintenance repair, City Hall, 5419 is a line item. We were kind of wondering what that number is for. It's an overhead,
Which number?
230,000.
Oh,
So last year 220 and this year 230,000.
Yeah. Plus, we also have units that we're replacing up there. We had 13 units, AC units. We've only replaced about half of them. And so we're trying to replace
They've
those
been
this
here
year.
since this was built, so
Yeah.
they're going out.
Okay.
Yeah. We had probably, I guess in the 2 years plus being in office, we've replaced 6, I think, up there. And there's like 7 more that need to be replaced. And they haven't been replaced, as Brenda mentioned, since we, since it's built, yeah, since it's built.
That was in overhead,
It's an overhead,
Yep.
yeah, 5415. I guess,
so
why is it an overhead?
What?
Why is it an overhead? Wouldn't it be like a capital expense or something?
Well, what we do is, actually, some of that's not gonna be done all at one time, it's just depending on how we actually replace these, but that is allocated for equipments. Our overhead budget is that we had, and this started with Tanya, and I think we had Darren involved. We did an overhead budget, because you don't know this, but the rest of them do know, that we had, like, maybe there was an expense for every department, well, we were putting out 5 invoices, okay? And so instead of doing 5 invoices, we had an overhead that we actually put that dollar amount in there. So if you'll look at those costs, they're for everything in each department, then instead of sending 5 invoices, we just put an overhead. The concern that I always have with overhead is, it could be a way you start piling money into, or people start doing things. So that hasn't happened. It's a real lean account. We've actually lowered that from last year. $1 million, we lowered it 50 some odd thousand. So we're trying to keep it lean, but the biggest cost in there is the AC units.
and did we buy them?
You have to replace them.
Right, have we done anything?
We've just replaced 6 of them in the last year. We're gonna do, yeah, there's 13 units upstairs,
Okay.
or on the roof. And so what we do is, we're gonna plan on,
So
We're
you
gonna-
just added money because of the costs?
Yeah, we're gonna-
Like, 'cause they'll increase?
yeah, so that money is in there because we know we're gonna get it all done this next year. Cause they'll probably go up before we get them out, but we're gonna try to get them all replaced. All right,
We also noticed, that the skate park is not in here, in this budget.
it's in the capital expenditures. It's actually in this year's budget, but that money gets actually moved over. It's actually in our 30 million originally from the skate money. So again, that becomes what we get done. That's supposed to be done by the time the fiscal year ends, so it's really close. Don't be looking at me like that.
Well, I think the question was really like, we have lines set up for the park stuff that had donations. So we have line items for those, like the splash park and stuff. And we had money donated for the.
The skate park,
But we
250,000.
didn't get a line for that.
No,
I thought it was
no,
250.
for the splash park, that's still in public works. The
Yeah.
250,000 was put into the general fund, that's actually used, part of the money to pay the expenses. It's 750 to 800,000. We made adjustment on the bathrooms on this, it's 750. The actual ramp, the whole, American Ramp is the one that's actually doing the skate park itself, that's done on a national contract bid.
No, I was talking about
You're talking the splash pad, the whole, yeah, that's in the park.
Splash pad has it on there.
Yeah.
7410.
So the original money for the skate park was part of the 30 million, we look at all of our skate projects. The biggest piece in that is that we just took the 250, and it's something that we're working with Holly on, is to allocate the money correctly on that. Because we do have some journal entries, but that money's in that's in the $30 million to do the skate park. In the original money, because remember what happened with the money on the aquatic center? If you remember the 30 million that we had, remember, we went up to 25 million in expenses on that from what it was originally, 10% higher. Well, that money was actually allocated in that first budget, this budget that we're in, for those type of projects. But the only thing that I think we can do is, we're gonna allocate the 250 and make sure it's showed for that. And Holly does have that noted, that when the invoices start to come in for that, we wanna make sure that money is tagged straight for that. That was given to us a private donation, it didn't wanna be disclosed. But that money will actually be tagged first to make sure it's there. And that money was just deposited, and it wasn't in a journal entry. We talked about journal entries. We don't have a journal entry the way it's supposed to, but Holly is doing that. I know she's off today. But we've been discussing that we have money coming in that needs to be tagged for those type of projects.
So it's gonna be, on the line where we can see it.
What you're gonna see is,
We
if we
don't
do,
do that.
so you won't, you're gonna have it in your 7,000s. If you look at your 16 million for this year, some of that money's already in the 14 million that's scheduled for this year. But if it doesn't get into this year, Rob, it'll move into next year. 'Cause this budget was done last year, okay?
How much carryover do we have, by the way? Do we know?
So 1.8, and then except for the 3, okay? The 1.8 is a projected number, okay? It's probably gonna be more than that. But that's what I'm gonna talk to you all about. If it's more than that, then any money that we go over that. So I wanna make sure that you all know the carryover originally was the 1.8 that I mentioned earlier. It's now 4 because there are 2 projects that have not been completed this year. We need to move those funds over so that they actually are still being tagged for those expenditures. Does that help, Rob?
We got two.
Which one do you? Oh, you guys should.
I
That
think
does, that, I already
Do
have,
you have
I
copies?
have one. I mean,
Does that help you, Jennifer, with that? I mean, as far as the park budget?
Angie
but-
has
So what is
some.
it you,
I
what
mean,
is
it's
it?
an answer, I guess, I don't know.
What is it you're looking for?
Nothing, I just was looking for the line for it in last year's budget, and it wasn't in there, but every other donation we had a line.
So the 200,
So that's why I just was confused as to why
so,
that one didn't have a line.
so Tom, again, this is what we decided, but in this audit we just finished, that's what we found. It was not tagged like it was supposed to.
Yeah.
So we are going to, and I will make sure for the 27, but we'll put a line in. That's not a problem, but I know that Holly and I have been the last couple of weeks, we found out getting this audit finished, we have a lot of journal entries. That money was actually taken in when she was the chief financial officer. And I'm not trying to, again, I just need to make sure it's understood
Yeah.
So we got 250 donated.
for that. And then the other comes out of the 30 million that we had originally. Yep. Does everybody have a corrected one on that? We sent it in an email.
I got
Yeah.
this,
Yeah, I have it now.
Yes,
I just
Oh,
got,
you've got the email up?
I just got the email up, cause we
Okay.
got
okay.
I didn't know we were.
We can give you that.
That's awesome.
I mean, I was
So Angie,
just
could you, so what Jennifer is saying and what Brad is saying, what we're gonna do is, and Rob, when we get, this is part of the things we're making these notes today, let's make sure that we put a line, we're trying to avoid too many lines, but we'll have a line that allocates the, she wants us to allocate a line.
So like right here, like we had lines for the splash park and all that. Those were the donations, like we have those listed out in the budget. The donation is listed in the budget, and we want that one listed in the budget for the.
Yeah, we'll put it under under public parks, under public works.
Yeah, that's what this is,
Yeah.
they're under public works.
Yeah, where's Tom at? Tom will do the same thing with that 250. You know, again, it was deposited, but never made a journal entry to what it was. We know that it's in there, we have a date that it was in there. But what we found out during this audit that we did complete is that that piece didn't get notated like it's supposed to. And that's something that we talked to Holly about last week, but like I said, she's not.
On both of those line items?
Yeah, we're gonna do the same thing. We'll just put we're gonna put skate park and put 250, so you see it as part of the money that has to be allocated for that. Okay, and we'll have that for you guys. Okay, I'll try to have it before the
Yeah,
week
it's
is
a
out.
donation, but it's an anonymous donation, is what we got.
Yeah.
So,
But we don't, even the other ones, it didn't say that on there, it just says the money amount of it.
yes, yeah, it just has the money amount on it. But
Yeah, that's fine.
But we just knew they were donated, and so we could watch them through the budget.
We just gotta, I guess really the biggest thing is, we gotta go back to when she put it in, what she did to make sure, but we know it's there. It's kinda like the other money we receive. We just need to have donations of where that money's tagged, and we talked about that a couple weeks ago. Okay, yeah, we'll make sure. I wanna make sure they know that the money that's tagged for the skate park is allocated already in that general fund. Okay. No, that was that was Bonnie talking about that's a splash pad, that's a whole, don't worry about
That was
that.
150 for this one.
Yeah, you see that.
It's out there, yeah, that was out there.
Yeah, and then we'll make sure they have something in the next couple days. Okay, fair question. All right. Anything else from Miss Angie? Yep. Go back up to the firing squad. Just because you're the rookie doesn't mean we're gonna have to be nice to you.
That's right.
Keep it rough.
Account 5240, insurance, general liability. You budgeted 15,000 for next year, but we've already spent 20,000 this year. Do we have a reason to believe that's gonna be substantially lower?
We got one less employee. Can you tell me that on
The general
the,
liability,
let me go look at it. What was the number again?
5240.
5240.
We budgeted about 13,000 this year, and we spent the last fiscal report.
What was it? I thought there was a reason why it spiked.
What was that?
There's a reason why it spiked. A lot of it, just so you know, the fact that we, a lot of this budget, did some things on just kind of looking at what we had there. That number's more of a projected number, looking at that was spiked last year, Brad, but I'll
Right.
tell you, that's not, I did a lot of the, because we were having this transition and having that, so Angie's not as versed in that. Just make a note, and again, this is a thing we can change.
Right.
But, that was a number that I put in there, that I was just kinda using it, so it could be wrong or right, but I
mean,
thought it was.
that's one of the things, I would just base it on
No.
whatever we spent this year, I would think.
But I think there's a reason why I brought it down, but I'll double check.
Yeah.
And you're
So
talking
just
about-
put down on that account, 5240, just me and you will check that, go back
Okay.
through it. Because I
Are
think
you-
I had a reason why I dropped it, like, I can't.
And you're looking at the total, or is there a certain class?
He's looking at what right now, year to date on the budget we have this year.
Total.
That number's, that's over the 15.
Okay.
And he's wondering why I put it in there 15. I think there was a reason why, but we'll just go back and double check it. And if it's right, I will say that. If not, we will adjust it, Brad.
Yeah,
Yeah. A lot of this too, just so you all know, in each of these in each department, if we see something small like that, we're not gonna change their dollar amounts. If we think that we can look at it and make that happen within each one, because I'm gonna explain that concept in a minute too, that when we do these raises, this can't be just putting your expenses like this and slapping on raises. You've gotta find some way to maybe cut some of your costs and different things to kind of incur those raises. And that, I'll double check that, but if this doesn't have to be changed, I don't want to. Our goal is, once we get through internally looking at each department, that we're not in here changing numbers, the total number for the department. The departments have agreed on that. Each department came and met with me and Angie, and we kind of agreed that that was your number. So if you look at the total number for each department, that's a number they've all agreed upon. So unless you guys see something that we have to change, we can do it. But I prefer to keep that number in place and maybe make some changes in each department, each of the different lines. Okay? All right, Brad, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
On health insurance, is this the same health insurance for all departments as what they already had, or has there been any changes?
Which is asking, what was that percentage? What was that percentage? 10, 9 something?
That we pay,
Yep.
we pay 10%.
Yeah, we used 10 we were using that as a number to try to add 10%, less one employee in the admin. Because that was the number that the insurance is gonna raise. And we had to project the numbers out for, is that what you're
Okay,
talking?
but, no, that's not what I'm talking
Oh.
about. Of us paying full insurance, has any of that been added to any of this?
No,
No, okay.
no, I'm
That's
sorry.
what
I
my
misunderstood.
question
Yeah,
is.
I got you. I do have a comment about that later too. All right.
That was gonna be my question too when we got there.
I got a good answer.
Oh,
for
go
you.
ahead, you go ahead.
No, she already asked me.
Yeah.
Oh,
So what she's asking is that right now in this current budget, it's still 90% that's paid by the city. There are some things that we're gonna discuss today that you guys, I think, will be pleasantly surprised. That's what you were asking. All right. But also, that's important for you all to know, on the insurance pieces right now, we get told by KLC what our number is. And so we use 10%, it would increase 10% for next year. It ended up now being 9 point something, so we were close, the numbers we put out there. Okay? All right? That wasn't so bad for your first one. We'll get a couple notes. We'll make some things, we'll get it taken care of, we'll send that to the, but Angie, thank you for being up there, all right?
I
All
got a
right.
suggestion.
Oh, yes. Oh.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Only that's, okay, so we, like postage and mailing expenses, you know, like with today's world, everything is electronic. But we raised the budget on postage and stuff. Is it because we went over last year or something, and so we just wanna kinda have a buffer? I was just curious, I mean, cause I'm thinking emails and stuff.
And there are things
But
we're
I
still
know that
required
like
to
when we
mail.
do special meetings and stuff like that, that all has to be mailed and stuff like that, and I just didn't know if we had more,
Not gonna-
like if we went over.
We left that number up there like that because we are not with .gov and doing all that things with occupational tax. Have you ever watched these ladies with the envelopes?
Yeah.
We're just constant, we send out envelopes for all of
Oh,
our,
okay,
yeah, it's like a machine.
4 times a year, we have the business license, it's a lot.
okay. I was just,
Yeah, well, we're
and I
hoping,
know that
we're hoping
postage
that-
goes up
Yeah.
and stuff like that, so.
and then we're also hoping that we can pay it online, but that's gonna
Yeah.
be a while.
Yeah.
Okay,
And like Scott said, code enforcement
Oh, yeah.
is more active,
Yes.
so they're sending out
yeah,
more citations. We're also filing, when we file liens, those have to be.
well,
mailed.
I'm just wondering, because today's world, we do a lot on the internet, so I didn't know if any of that,
Yeah.
like if we have.
We're still a little
explored the
archaic.
internet.
Well,
We're
that's
still-
some of
Yep,
that
we're
stuff
still a little
we need to
archaic.
do.
We're still a little archaic, but
Sending our
it's a fair
bills
point.
are still,
Yeah.
the withholding, yeah, unfortunately.
All right.
When you print multiple sheets, can you carry the headers over to each sheet instead of just leaving it on the first one and trying to? This
On
one,
on which one?
He's talking about the,
It's on
Oh, the long, oh,
There were
It doesn't have the,
The
Yeah,
header,
print
Oh.
it's not on every sheet.
See, you got the headers here.
Oh,
But you
yeah,
don't
this
want
is
any other
Excel.
sheet.
I see what you're saying, yeah. I could do
It's a
that.
whole lot easier to,
Yeah.
yeah, I know you can, because you're an expert with
That's just.
Thank you.
Everybody's using that big long sheet instead of a little sheet of paper.
It's a little hard to try to put that together for you. She was trying to put that so you guys can see the numbers.
Oh, yeah, cause she's, that's what I was.
It was challenging. I mean, we,
Look at what I had. Look at what I had.
oh, look at you. Oh, yeah, that was
Look how
fine.
little.
It was very small.
Not printed, so.
All right,
That's
Are we
why when
good?
She handed me this, I was like, oh my
yeah,
God.
we were trying to get to that. All right, is everybody good? Good.
Yep.
All right.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you so much, Miss Angie. All right,
Thank you, Angie.
Chief Craig, come on up, sir.
Uh-oh. Here comes the problem, child.
Wow. I thought you were everybody's favorite. See, you're making Chief Steve feel pretty good about himself, I
I'm
think.
just trying to make you feel, worried,
No,
but,
no worries.
Afternoon, council. How are y'all?
We're doing good, buddy, doing good.
I just want to start off by, our budget includes, 0 pay raises for our guys. They have, agreed to a 2-year contract to ensure that the 12 members that we have, that we added, we can add those to our next budget and ensure that they're, still state employed by the city. It's very important for them to be with the city. It's very important to provide the fire protection that they provide and the knowledge that we have for them. So in that 2-year contract, they have agreed to just get the step raises and of course, ensure that they get pay raises for if they get a paramedic or any extra certification that is included in the written, already existing agreement. With that, I was just gonna go through some highlights, and you all can stop if anytime that you all wanted me to. Just some big ticketed items inside of our budget. We added $120,000 to, with the city side on the maintenance side. We wanna do some upgrades to our dormitories on the upside. It's been 22 years since we've had any work done upstairs, so we wanted to do some work upstairs and do some updating to that with that money.
What line was that?
That number, ma'am, is, apologize. That is 5415.
Okay.
A few, is it okay to move on?
Yes, sir?
Yep, yes, ma'am. Just a few other, you'll see in 5440, that's maintenance, equipment and vehicle maintenance. We've increased that to 240,000, just with the increase of maintenance costs on apparatus, just with, we also combine that with other maintenance costs of vehicles. We just, instead of having a few other categories, we just made it all one maintenance category, okay? If a apparatus or a piece of equipment inside of that budget is, that line item is NFPA required annual testing of like SCBA and mass testing, pump testing, ladders and aerial ladder testing, DOT inspections, also cascade system, just to ensure that. And obviously, our goal is just to maintain overall fleet readiness at all times for the apparatus. Also, I want to just point you out to another area, which is the training budget, which is 5160. That was increased by $30,000. And the goal for that was just, we kind of separated it. We did an overall training budget and a special operations training. With special operations being water rescue, hazardous materials, confined space rescue, and also trench rescue, we added a little spec ops budget just so we can ensure that it's accounted for right. We also have a member on our staff that is handling all that training, just to ensure that the certifications are covered and also the equipment is maintained and just to ensure that overall readiness goal of providing for the community. With that is our big, as far as big line items on the on the raising part of it, and also the combining and raising. And you all see in our budget, it's the same as last year or a little bit less. With that, I'll entertain, me and Daniel entertain any questions that you might have. Yes, ma'am?
Okay, 5904, trunk or treat went up $14,000. why did we raise that to
So,
18,000
do they have the
from
most
4?
updated? Okay, so we combined a couple codes, so if you see Trunk or Treat and then, Firehouse Expo, those two got combined into a category that we renamed as special events. And by doing that, that is planning ahead for next year. We've got a 100-year anniversary coming up, community outreach events.
Okay, we went from 6,000 then to 18,000.
We
So
did.
what are we doing now? Like, what is going on with these two events that brought it up $12,000?
So in addition to those two events, we are planning for an event next year that's in addition to those, the 100-year anniversary event.
Okay,
And then different community outreach events and employee recognition events.
okay.
Like we started doing pinning ceremonies and different things that every other department around us and every other city around us does that matters. That is a employee retention standpoint that we're trying to push currently.
So,
We also- Go ahead, sir.
can we correct that too? Can we break those out into their each?
So it didn't have to be, we're trying, no, because on something like this, what this is just some community services. We're talking about 18,000 in this, in their day-to-day operation. What we wanna do, be careful, we had, when we did this, look at our report, they had like 25 different accounts, and some had budget numbers in it and some didn't. When it came to the event and recognition, we tried to get the department heads to condense it, so we're not having all, they made .15s and all kinds of, we're still trying to clean that up. Angie and I have that as a project, but we wanted to get through the audit, through this budget. But we're gonna go through it and actually clean up these accounts. But we didn't wanna put all this in this budget. But I think all of the departments were encouraged to condense these number of lines that you had out there to manage it. In that case, Rob, really what he's doing, that little bit of money, it's more of a all community-based, it's events.
Maybe it'd be better if we just rename that account.
That's what I was
Community
saying.
outreach,
Thank you.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
Just so
event
that we-
Community,
We can do that.
community events.
so that we
Community
eliminate the
events,
confusion.
You did, oh, she did it already. Okay, again, remember, once we get all the notes, what we didn't wanna do is start making all these changes. But right now you have the surface numbers for every department. Once we get through that piece, we're gonna send you a nice clean P&L, a budget with all of it's in there so that you see this part here, Brad. We'll make sure, we'll change that. She's already got it changed. So, but again, you've gotta see that the purpose of not having all these accounts. I mean, there's quite a few in there that still need to be taken care of, because if you put a .1 in there, it has to add up, and yeah, if you read these reports sometimes, I'm sure you're looking at like, what is that?
accounts or lines? Are you talking about the lines?
The different lines.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you'll see that also with, again, how they have, some of these accounts that need cleaning up a little bit, but anyway, I'm just trying to help you, because I mean, no, we've encouraged you guys to get that together, but naming it, Angie, if you got that taken care of, just make a note, we'll make sure.
That's on my end, it's
No,
already,
you
it's
got-
already renamed as special events on.
Yes, you're fine. No, I was just like, okay.
Yeah,
You
no worries.
answered my question.
All right.
Let's see.
Account 5214 with the medical supplies,
Oh, I have that.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna assume that's as we're adding a few paramedics
Yep.
and we're having to upgrade.
Yes, sir, we're gonna get, our agreement with Bullock County is all of our medics are precepting with them. Once they get cleared, we'll be using ALS skills, but they're gonna supply the equipment. We're keeping that money aside just in case Bullock County says, hey, we're not gonna do that. We wanna ensure that we're providing that ALS service by drugs, but they'll provide us the drugs. We'll have the monitors to maintain, which are 40,000 apiece, and just things like pads to.
So we'll be purchasing the monitor, like heart monitor.
Yes, sir. We
Yeah.
just got two.
Right.
We'll have everybody trained on those by, we hope, next month. We'll be able to use those on routes.
What'd we get? Just what type of monitor did we get?
We've got Life Pack 15s. They have 35s, so they offered the 15s on a sale with the redo.
Yeah, I think that'll be good for what we're doing.
Yes, sir.
And then the scope of the dormitory stuff up, I mean, are we just kind of freshening up, or is it gonna be substantial?
The goal, sir, is the bathroom with the plastic inserts up there, if you've been up there 100
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
We're looking at a contractor to look at it, to see what we can do with the allotted amount of money the city will give us.
Okay. Is it,
And to answer your other question, yes, to freshen it up.
I just say like new beds and stuff like
Yes,
that? Okay.
and I think we've talked about this before, I want us to kind of think about how much money we put into this place because admin's getting squeezed and, you know, our long-term goal is we may have to find space for departments, if you know what I mean, so.
You're not going anywhere, you and the cats are staying. No,
Um,
There's a
and then
growth.
your,
That's-
5440, your maintenance and repair of vehicles.
Yes, sir.
And I know I think we're already kind of over this year. Has there been anything like really unexpected happen with any of the apparatus, or is it just the advent of all the electronical BS we gotta put up with and get repaired?
I think with running 4 pieces of apparatus, the number of runs that we're making, all of that comes into it, and also the electronics, we're good. Like the tower, we get a year's warranty, bumper to bumper on that. So that's good, but when you get into just annual PMs, we're doing 2 PMs annually on them, and also that goes with it. But yes, that's to cover and also if it's broke, we fix it, like we're required to.
Right.
That's,
You can get, I think that might be, I think we're getting closer to looking at maybe putting somebody on staff with the city at some point, maybe.
no, it's, I mean, we've talked about that with the police department too, as far as some of that kind, I don't know where we're at with that yet. We really haven't entertained that, to be honest with you.
Right. I mean, I know our facilities aren't up to what we need, but long range, I think.
Yeah, I think there's some things looking at our growth, but I think that's gonna depend on, make sure that growth is exactly what it is, and once we know that, I think there'll be more conversation about it.
I mean, if we had an EBT on staff with the city, I mean, how much would that,
oh, it'd be incredible.
yeah. I mean, I know we're not there yet, but.
I just have a few compared to these other departments on diesels and equipment.
Right.
Yeah.
But your
It'd be
repairs are substantially higher. than-
Yes, because our parts have to come from Pierce.
Yeah, exactly.
You're exactly right.
Exactly. And then, the miscellaneous equipment for 200,000, what's included in that?
So what, the big ticket items in that is new cascade system for Station 2. It currently doesn't have one.
Right.
And the one here is original with the building, so we're having a lot of problems with that. Washer and dryer, original to the building. The maintenance cost on that and the upkeep on that is starting to become an issue and just finding parts for it. So that eats up the biggest part of that budget, and then the odds and ends throughout the year to replace things that we break along the way.
Okay. And then on turnout gear, have we gotten to the point where everybody's got 2 operable sets?
We are at that point, but now it's at the point of it's 10 years.
Right.
After 10 years that we have to rotate that, so.
But we're able to maintain that?
We are. With that 65,000, it's only like 12 or 13 cents a year at this
Right.
point. That's pretty outrageous.
That's everything I had.
All right. Mike, anything down there? Okay, thanks. Good. Rob? All right, Ms. Jennifer? Oh, Ms. Bonnie? Okay.
On our Jaws Life, how old are they?
So all of our frontline pieces are under 5 years, but we're in the era of battery tools now to where it's kind of like a computer. A 5-year-old computer is a 5-year-old computer. The whole world's kind of figuring out what the longevity of these dudes are going to be. So the year or the days of 20 years out of a set of rescue tools are gone, I think. But we're in a good place,
Okay.
especially compared to others on rescue.
Okay, good.
Good?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much.
you,
Appreciate
sir.
all your work on that.
Thank you all.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Chief Steve, come on down. Bring that guy. That guy.
Freezing here,
All
Put my
right.
Is it
hands
cold?
in
Is it cold?
I'm freezing. Hello?
Can we check our pulse?
Just making sure everything's all right.
I put
She's
my
cold.
hand, I'm
Well,
freezing.
she's cold, then I saw the
Cold
mayor
up
get up,
here.
and I thought, oh, the meeting's over, okay.
She may be a vampire.
Last time everyone was sweating.
Not too low, everybody else about that. Thank you.
Cold, I can tell you cold.
Hello.
All right.
Well,
Chief.
just, obviously, y'all have seen the budget, I'm sure y'all have some questions for us. Big things, we did have an increase from last year's budget for the police department, what we're looking at, and most of that is taken up in the desire to hire 2 more people, 2 more officers, and also the 8% raise that the FOP, and we negotiated, I guess y'all are gonna vote on that later, and look at that, and I think that's gonna take up just about all of the increase from last year's budget we have. We're continuing to work on trying to save some money. I know some of y'all asked me about the leasing program, and we're still looking at that, and there's, 2 different ways we can go at it. We'll probably come up with a proposal for y'all later on how we can do it, or we continue the way we're going on, but I really don't wanna get in a public forum, kinda give away what we're thinking, so we'll talk later once we get that proposal made. And I'll just open it up for any questions y'all have of me or Major Patchen.
So before I forget, and this, I should have said this with Jody up here. First of all, there's a collective bargaining for both departments that we're working on. They're finishing it up on the fire. We've got to basically settle just a couple legal things. Catherine's got it worked out, so we'll have that to you. So you'll have something to make sure about our first reading. You'll have it a couple weeks in advance. So we'll have it to you next couple days. Same thing with obviously collective bargaining. You have theirs already. I think, Darren, you put it in every boxes. Is that correct? Okay. All right. I'm sorry. Just want to get that started. All right.
So, I think we all got the proposal and everything, so we wanna talk about that later?
We can talk about it now. I mean, what you can do, you want to go through the budget first and then go through that collective
So
bargaining?
whatever y'all wanna do.
Whatever you want to do.
Well, if you're gonna talk about collective bargaining,
can't
it
do
can
that, yeah,
only
this
be
is
related to the budget.
Yeah.
You can't talk about anything else, you just, and
Just
so
say
really,
which
you
ones.
probably,
Yeah.
so if you've got any other questions, that can be discussed, and obviously the fact that right now it's 8%, but after that, we just need to leave that
Yeah.
until,
Till the next meeting, I guess the meeting after this one, maybe?
yes, we can
Okay.
talk about it at the next meeting
Okay.
at 6
Are we
o'clock.
gonna vote on that before we vote on the budget?
You will be voting on that first. You'll get your,
We'll have to.
yeah, you'll have to do that. We've got all the ordinances for the 27th. We're going to read all them, but then that ordinance will be read and then voted on. And then we'll go into the budget. Yep.
Chief court revenue, 4057, you've got 19,000, where this year we brought in 7,700. We think that's gonna be substantially higher.
Yeah, we've seen an increase in activity by officers, and when that occurs, and then our accident reports have been going up, and when that occurs, we will see a revenue increase.
Okay.
And also too, with the new Commonwealth Attorney, they're also having more hearings, and we anticipate more cases going to trial, which will count for that.
Okay. And then your miscellaneous revenue, what's all included in that?
Miscellaneous revenue, I can say it all wrong.
Sure.
A good portion of that miscellaneous revenue is to install in-car cameras in the cars. And with the cameras, what it'll do is when they activate the lights, cameras turn on, but it will also activate their body cameras at the same time.
Oh, good.
Wait a minute. He said revenue,
Miscellaneous revenue.
so
Oh.
I'm thinking that's expenses?
Miscellaneous revenue, that is, the Board of Education and, projected HIDA money.
So-
Okay, I thought the miscellaneous expense reimbursement was for the SRO. And then,
No, the miscellaneous revenue is from the schools and HIDA.
okay,
I'm sorry, the miscellaneous expense reimbursement is from, HIDA, the 150
Oh,
miscellaneous
it's
revenue.
from the school board.
is from The Board of Education.
okay, so Board of Education is the miscellaneous revenue, and then HIDA is the 18,
Yes.
okay.
I'm sorry, I thought you said miscellaneous
Yeah,
expense.
that's right.
So is that 52.99?
Sure.
5299 is the
The miscellaneous,
cameras.
is that the cameras?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
Next question. That's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I have.
Guess I'm right?
We got rid of the dogs.
Yep. And Rob, for your benefit here, and Chief will tell you, our partnership with the county of not having a canine unit.
There, we've already reached out to the county sheriff, and they will provide those services if we need them. And also Mount Washington has, I think, 1 or 2 canines that they've been willing to step up if we requested them.
409, we're getting new vehicles.
That's these payments from Enterprise. We moved it from, Angela moved it from a capital, it used to be under capital, and we moved it into an actual line item this year.
And on that total, Rob, you'll see that the total didn't change, we just moved it to different departments on that, where it should be.
Oh, I think, city council should get some of those, I know that's the fire department that has the, ATVs. I think city council needs those.
We'll work on it, I'll put that on.
That's
I'll-
the fire,
I'll-
that was
I'll-
the fire department ATV.
So what they're saying, they like the fire department more than you,
I
that's
mean,
what I heard.
If you're willing to give us the money, we'll buy one.
Only if we could ride in it.
Sure, one ride, free, got it.
Anything down there? All right. Jennifer, you good? Mike?
Yeah, I
All
only
right.
had the one question.
Okay, Brad, Bonnie, you have anything? Good? Mike Hibbert, do you have anything down there?
No.
Okay, Ms. Tate?
I'm good.
Good.
That way I'm talking to them, cleared it up.
Oh, I found the line, it was 7605 is where you moved it from.
Yep.
Yep,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm good.
All right, well, Chief, appreciate you guys coming out. Like I said, and one of the things too, with each of the departments, when you guys go back through some of this stuff, just email them back out any other questions you might get done tonight, just think of something else, just email it to them and let them know, so we'll have it prepared for the 27th. Okay. Chief, appreciate you coming out. I know there's gonna be more conversation about the collective bargaining piece, but we'll get all that squared
And
away.
I'd just like to take this to publicly thank Chief Craig for bringing all of his people out to support us in our budget today.
They're all, I heard him chanting police over there. I heard him chanting police back there. I heard it. That's what I heard. All right, but Scott Fleming, come on up here. You wanna bring your sidekick up here? Miss Crystal's been a great asset for us in the, so she's actually doing all the work there. No, you don't get up there with him? Okay. Let him be the celebrity. So, for council, I just wanna make sure there's a lot of this that we don't really get too involved with, but we obviously know the vital piece of our growth is our sewer department, and, you run a really, a good lean team over there from, looks up from a payroll standpoint, so. Scott?
Council, thank you. I know you've already been over some of this. I'll hit on the big things that's kind of changed in the budget this year. You've seen a reduction of about $2 million in overall operation. Part of that's gonna be $1.3 million that was allocated for the sewer that's going through the park. By the time we get to July 1st, we'll see exactly where we're at with that and what we spent this budget cycle, and then we'll need to carry over the rest of that to finish out that project. Secondly, on the budget, you're gonna see a reduction in revenue. And as you know, the bourbon industry is struggling right now, so revenue from Jim Beam's down. So we've tightened our belts a little bit here on this budget, and we can still provide all the services we need to with the reduced budget. With that being said, you're gonna get 5% raises for all the guys across the board. Other than that, it's
In your
typical
department.
business. Yeah. Questions?
My only question for you is on the CPI on this. I mean, every year we're obligated to look at that.
Yes.
And just reviewing it. So for this council, we went years without really doing anything with that. We did actually raise it a little bit last year, but I don't know that it
Well,
was.
actually, we've been obligated for the past 15 years to do that.
ordinance that says we're supposed
That's what I'm saying. That's why I brought it up.
Yes. And the fact of the matter is, business gets expensive every year. Prices go up.
If we don't keep up with that, we're gonna end up in trouble like we did a long time.
That's right, the
ago. We need to
66.
just automatically do it every year. None of us like the raises, but in order to keep sewer going where it's going, it needs that cost of
So
living
would you look at that and then give us a
That's
recommendation?
included in this budget.
You've got it included, okay.
Yeah, I
Just
believe
making
it's
sure.
3.1%.
Okay, that's what I wanna make sure. It's
Thank-
okay. So you see that they didn't have it in there. I just wanna make sure that you all know, because I know we talked about it, but.
Hey, Angela, I believe we did 3.1% on the increase on sewer rates. Yeah.
Okay.
Regardless, we've got a number
Looking
for
for
CPI.
I just wanna make sure it's in there. And that's important, guys, because I mean, I really believe that's been one of the issues that Bonnie was just mentioning. We need to stay on top of that every year.
Something else too, as far as the expansion at the sewer plant, we've got a little redesign going on right now where we're gonna add a secondary treatment to the process itself. We're adding a PAA, which is you're dosing chemical into it when we have a flood event or whatever. The problem we've got out here being on the river, we have a high clay content, and sometimes your UV doesn't disinfect like it needs to. So when we have a big rain event, a flood or whatnot, we need to be able to dose that. So, that's kind of slowing that project up. But on top of that, with what's going on with the tariffs and everything, we've got a lot of equipment coming out of Germany. So we're kind of dragging our feet just a little bit here until we figure out how that's all gonna play out, so we don't have a burden on the cost for this whole thing.
Or we need to wait till Trump gets done negotiating the tariffs. I had a question, how many clarifiers did we put in this year?
How many what?
Clarifiers, have we
No.
built any new clarifiers?
Two clarifiers would be in that expansion we're talking about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask that too, cause I know we put in the budget years ago for that.
Well, we did, but we weren't positioned where we get the grant money and everything we've got now.
Yep.
Yeah, we spent the past,
So is
7
that gonna
years.
happen soon?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, it will. We look to put that project out to bid before the end of the year.
okay, all right.
Again, we're waiting on the tariffs and the CR, the
Yeah.
continuing resolution that the president passed. We gotta get past some of that stuff to see where our costs are gonna fall on this.
How would you hurry up?
How much are the clarifiers? Well, I guess the entire.
The entire
entire
project,
fee.
you're looking about $26 million.
$26 million?
Yes.
We got bond, or, some.
Grant money. We got.
We got grant money, we got KIA loans, which are low interest loans. We've got the money to be able to fund the project. We're just trying to be tactful how we handle it.
Do you have a breakdown, Scott? Like you have total capital expenses on this sheet,
Yes.
2.1 million, and do you have a breakdown of what that's for?
A breakdown of what?
The total capital expenses?
What line item were you talking about?
Well, I don't have a line item, I don't think, on that one.
Yeah, I don't either.
You didn't get
Are you
the
talking about
full
7,000?
No.
How much did you say it is?
Your
2.1
total-
million.
You talking about the capital debt contingency and all that?
Yeah, that's the.
Total
That's our debt
total.
service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, here's the sewer.
That's the loans.
That's a better sheet.
A lot better, I might have that too. It's easier to read.
As far as vehicles go, Tom's got 2 vehicles under lease that they're getting ready to let go. Instead of getting new vehicles, we're gonna purchase them from, Public Works. I believe it's $27,000 for 2 trucks. It's got less than 20,000 miles on it, which they weren't great for us.
Oh, this is just budget versus actuals. So we don't really have a
Oh, yeah,
rundown.
there's no comparison, we don't have a comparison.
I've got a breakdown sheet for everybody if you'd like to have that.
Is it last year's and this year's?
It's not, it's just the new
Oh,
budget.
okay. That's
It
what-
is-
I like
No, they
that.
got
Well,
that.
we have the old one. in
You
front
do.
of us.
You do actually have it. Which one do you have there? One?
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, I like this.
Actually, Rob, look at your tabs. It's actually, it is 25, 26, if you look at the tabs.
Oh, I
On the
was,
email I sent you,
yeah, I was looking at the hard copy.
yeah, look at the tabs on the Excel spreadsheet.
Okay, yeah.
That's last year's versus this year's.
And I do want to make a point, just again, before you have any questions. Obviously, we've made this point before, but obviously Scott, myself, and Arthur, and obviously Tom and getting involved, there's a lot of projects and stuff that we're doing in-house. And a lot of this is coming through with all the projects that you're gonna start to see materialize over the next year. This is a lot of the work that Scott does on top of what he does with the sewer department. So I wanna make sure that it's recognized, these 2 gentlemen, Arthur and Scott, and obviously we started dragging Tom along. We got some really cool things in the park. And it's important for you all to know that's something we're doing in-house instead of looking for a management team. We're saving really, quite a bit of money. We're talking anywhere from $750,000 to $1 million. So we're saving the city that money, but obviously we're getting some good things done. So I wanna make sure.
Something else you notice in the budget as well, contractor fees and different things, we're doing a lot more stuff in-house now.
Yep.
Those are reduced compared to the previous
That's
years.
good. Yeah.
Why did health insurance go down?
Any new employees?
I'm not. Yeah, we just went through a hiring process. I've got some guys we will interview in
Is his
June.
insurance down?
But other than that, we won't be hiring any new full-time. We may bring on a part-time, but I've got money in there figured for that. I doubt that'll happen.
So health insurance went down from 225,000 to 155,000?
Yeah, I'm basing my numbers off what admin submitted to us.
Okay. So you may be over budgeted last year?
I think so, yeah.
And one thing too, first of all, Scott, thank you so much. You guys have any other questions for him?
I was just looking through these real quick.
Yeah, no, it's,
They're pretty
If I-
close
if
to
I
last
do
year.
Yeah,
Nothing much
Yeah,
has
they are.
changed.
If I have any questions, I'll email.
Okay.
yeah.
So,
I mean, really, the only substantial change from last year is the reduced revenue from Jim Beam, pretty
Yes.
much, right?
Yeah, and you'll see utilities have dropped. We've gotten a little bit more efficient at the plant as well as on our pump stations.
Okay.
So those costs have actually come down.
Crystal, thank you for making the sewer department a whole lot better. We appreciate what you've been doing.
She keeps us in line.
I'm telling you, this has been a great addition to the team. No, I mean it sincerely, glad to have you. I know the floodplain is a big thing that we're trying to transfer or get to you. I know Nikki and Brenda have been working there, so, if you have any other questions? Are we doing
no, it
good,
looks
Rob?
like
Did
you cut out $2 million of expense from last year, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, you're happy, I'm happy.
All right.
Something else I'd like to bring up with what our police and fire are doing now, you know, we've talked, you know, annexation's coming down the road. We're gonna have to expand our services. You need to look at establishing an account that you can put some money into for property acquisition down the road for city services. I know we don't have anything in there right now, but you guys definitely need to look at it.
We talked, yeah, that's, that's what we need.
You're preaching to the choir, brother.
Right. We've already, yeah.
All right,
But-
everybody good?
Hey, Scott, thank you so much. Appreciate it, buddy. All right. Last but not least, and I want this guy to come up because he's got all the fun things we're gonna talk about. Tom, come on up here. Talk about your one point, and bring Sam up there, yes. Bring Sam up here. So what I'd like him to do first is, his budget in running the public works is about 1.9. If you guys will focus a little bit on that part first, if everybody could, we'll go into the capital works, capital projects in public works. That's an instrumental piece, but I do wanna talk about, you know, the first couple of pages of their expenses. If we could do that with Tom first. So if you guys will do that, and then we can go into the heavy-duty stuff in the 7,000s.
Yeah, if there's anything in particular in question, on the line items, we can run through that real quick and then talk about the big numbers and where they're being spent and how.
So salary and wages went up on 50-10, did you hire more people?
Yes, we actually pulled from the admin budget, Sam, to the public works budget for now, until we break that out into its own.
Okay.
Yeah, she was in admin
department.
before. We moved her where she needed to
Yeah.
be. Plus, you also didn't make sure everybody knows 5%.
Yep, 5% across the board raise for everyone. Yep.
So you have your numbers on that budget. Remember 5,558 and 0, right? That gives you at least an idea as far as the budgetary process.
Did all the department heads go through and make sure nobody went over any, because that was the problem last time, is we had to do pay grades again because a bunch of people went over the maximum.
Glad
Did we
you-
go through that and double check that?
What do you mean, they went through the max?
We went,
They went past,
So
when
we
they
had a
got
couple-
5% raises.
So they won't
went
get-
over the threshold.
so we had,
Did everybody go through and check that and make sure nobody went over the threshold this time?
we have, we've got it all done. We've got it all in like 5 sheets. How many sheets is it? She's got every department. What we did this year, and you'll see it, this is part of the ordinance Catherine's working on. We weren't gonna try to do this every year. So we try to calculate, if we did give a raise each year, we took the 5% and gave you 5% on this one, and took that total, did 5%, and did it for 3 years. So we can just do it every 3 years instead of coming back every year and have to change that max rate. Does that make sense? We did it that way in order to not have to do it every year and make sure that nobody is over that. Now, sometimes if somebody's over that, we've had a situation where they're maxed out in that position. All right, so let's say, yeah, so if, for instance, if you look at the ones we had, we took every position, and we made sure that we left the entry level rate, the beginning rate alone. But we made sure this one, it was moved. Doesn't mean we're gonna give them that money, but we're gonna take the max rate and actually put a increase on it for 3 consecutive years, and then make that your max rate, so that if there are people that can get into that area, they would be fine. But the idea that we put that on there is not every year we're going back in and changing, because now they're gonna get close, we gotta do this. So every 3 or 4 years, we're gonna review that max rate to make sure that it falls into. But the one thing I'll warn all of you, from a physical standpoint, let's decide where the max rate is on each of the positions we have inside the city, okay?
Well, that was
But
gonna
we
be my next
decided that.
question, like, I'm not a big fan of just moving the goalposts just so, to absorb
What, and when,
raises that might come. I would rather us do market studies and make sure.
well, and we're
in the
gonna be doing
range.
some of that, but the fact of the matter is, we just didn't wanna have a situation, she's putting it all together for you, did you send them that?
Yeah.
You guys have got that. You got that, and if you look at it, my point is, we just didn't wanna have to do due diligence every year of having to change it. I'm telling you right now, I have no desire to get to those rates anytime soon, okay? That's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is just because our obligation towards that ordinance, to make sure that that max rate doesn't get over. But I think if we just generally put out, and if you look at those rates, and then did you all get everybody's rate? Did you get a whole payroll of everybody's rate? So you know what everybody makes. So go, just take that and make comparisons. If you see something really squirrely, let me know. We just did it because we don't have to do it every year. But it doesn't, I can tell you, I'm the first one to say just what you just said. I mean, we're not doing that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying.
Well, what do you wanna do?
I just see that being,
You wanna leave it the same and then just review it every year?
well, not reviewed every year, but.
Because what we're saying is, it's, you, like you said, you're moving the goalpost, all to just, so, okay, we're guaranteeing 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, we just keep on going.
No,
And
it's not-
we're gonna over budget, I
Okay.
don't know.
So
I just-
again, me and you've talked about the percentage of the staff, but what we wanna make sure you understand, this is not given raises. This part is just to meet the obligation on the ordinance, because we have to do that by ordinance, by KR statute. We have to keep those up to date. That's not a guarantee that somebody that's at this rate is gonna get that to max out in 3 years. That's not what we said.
And we hadn't done that on all.
We haven't done it for a while,
Yeah.
so we're
Some
just trying to be
people got
realistic.
that
We did it last
increase.
year.
Right. Some
I mean,
people got
I can
an
easily point to
increase.
people in the city I think are underpaid, and then I think there's,
The
some
problem-
positions that are probably within the market. I just don't wanna indiscriminately just move the
No.
end goalpost.
We have made it very clear to the
make
department
things
heads that we're going to be a little tighter on this, because when it comes to the raises, and I'll just make this comment for you all, when these raises come about for any of the departments, we're not just adding that raise on top of their expenses. We're gonna ask them to put some challenge of making some reductions in some of their other costs. We're not just gonna make it a flat, let's say it's $500,000, well, we're expecting maybe that department to get $250,000. Now, I'm not saying it's that kind of money, but I'm just using examples of some of that money has to be cut out somewhere else. We're not just gonna keep adding money to the top end. We're not working like that. So your concern is valid for both of you guys, but you have to manage it every year. But you have to, by obligation, by ordinance, you do have to have some max rates that people aren't going over. Doesn't mean we wanna get there. I hope we don't have to do anything for 5 years, all right? Or 6 years. But we have to make that obligation, and if we go over it and everybody passes it, then we gotta go back and do that work. That was the purpose of me and Brenda sitting down and doing every one of these. And then you'll see that what she gave you is what we've given her. And again, if you look through that, when you look into the payrolls, and you see something that concerns you, shoot me and that department head an email, and we'll be glad to look at it. Yeah. Yeah, I have the same concerns, Mr. Whitaker. I wouldn't, no, I'm
No, when
not.
I looked at it, I was like, whoa, some people are really getting a huge raise here.
No, they're not getting the raises, that's just the max.
I'm like you, I like it better, the way the school board used to do it, there was like steps, and it showed.
Yeah.
Like step 1, step 2, step 3.
Yeah, that's
You
why
can't go
I'm,
above that.
that's why I like like in collective bargaining, like, we have a pay schedule. We know where every person, every position is gonna make year after year, and it makes it easy. It takes some of the stress off of us, because it's all negotiated ahead of time. Whereas
Yeah,
the
all
other
this,
departments are just kind of like, we're doing this year to year, and I don't know, I see if like you create too much cushion, then we're gonna.
it depends on how we manage it. It depends on how we manage it.
And
I
the
mean, that's
thing
a silly.
is, I could tell you several years ago when we did this, and Bonnie, you'll remember it, there was a mayor that gave some big amount of raises, and we didn't know about it. But once we passed that budget, and that number's in there, we ain't got no say over it. Am I wrong?
Well, no, you're gonna approve.
The
No, I'm
maximum
not
pay
wrong.
rate, no, the maximum pay rate that you all might get, so I'm gonna use just random numbers. Let's say Tom here makes, $30 an hour, but we think eventually that position with experience would be worth 40. You're budgeting right now 30. this other ordinance might have 40, but your budget ordinance is based on him currently making 30. So the budget ordinance would not allow that to go higher than 40 unless they can, find money elsewhere. In other words, however they got it, how do you all have this, Tom? You got payroll expenses. That payroll expense would have to still remain the same. So I guess Tom could arguably get a raise.
Not always been that way, though, I can tell you
Well,
that.
if you've got, I know like the way that we've
We
done the
control that.
budget last year.
And I'm not saying I don't trust him.
In Public Works, so like in the
But-
budget ordinance, there is a payroll expenses. And last year for Public Works, it was $907,858.79. They could not go over that number. That total number they could not go over. So if that pay was based on everybody getting an X amount of dollar, including Tom, the only way Tom could get more than $30 is if somebody left and maybe they could then give him that raise. But until then, he could not get any more than $30. It caused them to go over that payroll expense that is in the ordinance. And it cannot go over that.
I don't know, I think those numbers seem a bit high to me,
Which numbers?
the maximum.
Well, those numbers we can talk about at our regular meeting.
Right, but if we don't
an
vote,
hour.
if we have to vote on them, we're gonna have to vote on before we vote on the budget.
Yes, you will. So the way it'll go is, it'll be, the collective bargaining agreements, and then the pay rate, pay scale, and then, I think that's all, and then the budgets,
So,
general and sewer.
I'm gonna answer your question.
And I don't have a problem with anybody getting a raise, but, sometimes you gotta watch the money, you all know
That's
that.
what we're doing. I mean, but the biggest thing,
That's our job.
no, it is, but I wanna make sure y'all know, again, when she said we had to actually approve that, those max rates, there isn't anybody that we look at, those max rates are gonna be in any problem with the budget with the raises we have already committed to, right? If you look at all 5 departments, they are not gonna interfere with that. If there's a discussion about what we make those max rates, we can discuss that, but that part does not have to be voted on before the budget, because nobody in this group with the raises we're giving are gonna make those max. That ain't gonna
I hope
happen.
not.
No.
If they do, I want a job back here again.
Well, we'll get you one, we'll get you a job. You gotta but you gotta be practical, look at the facts. Look at the rates everybody's got, and then you put those percentages, nobody's even close to those max rates. They were just done as a courtesy. When Catherine and I talked about it, we weren't just gonna try to do it every year. We just wanted to make it where every year as it goes, there's a step raises, and there's all kinds of you got your tenure, and you got your, when you get a raise in the department. That's all gotta be concluded to what's gonna happen 3 or 4 years down the road. That was just the thing, we were trying to avoid doing it every year, because there had been problems before with the max rates that were put
So
out.
that's, the answer to my question is, did everybody go through and check and make sure nobody went over the max rates? The answer
Yeah,
was,
yes.
yes, they did, and
Yes.
that's why we're gonna change this.
Yes. Yeah, well, we said that earlier about that we did all that. We just showed, we talked to the 5 pages that we just did. All right. Well, thank you. All right, Tom.
It was very few.
Tom, $300,000, 7650, other purchase assets, small purchase assets, 7652.
So we've been using that for several things around the park. Some drainage projects that we foreseen that were coming up that we had no idea with the volatile market, what kind of prices we're gonna be looking for, paying for pipe and so forth.
Oh, pipe, and,
Yeah.
okay.
Like, for example, we had a
It says-
pipe over at the old Long John Silver's that was 8 feet in diameter. You take a piece of pipe like that and it comes from Michigan, and all of a sudden the price gets pretty high.
Okay. So no equipment or anything?
I'm sorry?
No equipment or anything?
The only thing we have in here, we are looking at a new truck, if you'll notice in 7605. So in the past, that's been our lease line item as well. But as Scott mentioned, so what happened with our fleet service, we were a little bit forced to use some trucks that were not adequate for what we need with plowing and salting. So Scott's gonna take the fleet service ones, buy them out at a very reduced price because we will essentially already own them. And then we're gonna buy one more truck to replace that, two with, if you will, that will allow us to do our salting and plowing.
We're about 2?
We're only gonna buy
Only
one
one?
this year,
Okay.
yeah.
Right enough. Okay, but
Selling
on,
two to Scott and.
Oh, selling to.
Yeah, we currently have two, but we can't use them for what we need, so we're gonna gain a truck. Even though we're getting rid of two, we're gonna gain a truck we can really use for
So
our
does the
salt.
75 count the 26 he's buying the trucks for?
The money he spends doesn't go to us, it'll go to,
Oh, that's right.
the,
Never
yeah,
mind.
fleet service.
I knew that. You just said that you have to pay off the truck.
I thought I saw it, you mentioned drainage for that special.
There is a drainage line item in there, but it's a little on the low side, however,
We got some money somewhere else.
150, 150 last year, did we spend that? Are we gonna spend that?
let's see here. That is,
That is,
5350.
5350?
Okay.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
I-
that's departmental, let's see, 5361.
Yeah,
There you
5361.
go, yeah. So 5361, part of that, has gone toward, the, additional cost for pipe like we were talking about.
Okay.
Some additional labor on some other drainage projects.
Okay. And then another 150 this year, but you also, but I guess I don't understand why the 72 or 7652 small purchase assets, you said that was for drainage too? the three of
Both,
those?
yeah, both of them are, yeah.
Okay,
So like, for example, we had, nearly a $300,000 project come up, stormwater project that we were not prepared for, and,
the emergency?
yeah,
Yeah.
so. And right now, we got $100,000 sitting waiting. So. And these numbers you see, you take, for example, 5361, that one's gonna go to zero in 2 weeks probably. And then we'll have to pull some funds from another one as well. Back to your question of the, small purchased assets.
And one of the
Be able
things
to
for you
fund that
guys,
project.
I'm gonna throw this in there because one of the things we do with drainage, we are trying to address it. Some of it's way back when, and we're trying to help the citizens that have a drainage issue in the back of the, like a residential area. We've stepped in to make it that first clean, to try to help where we can. But we can only do so much in those areas, but we're trying to help the public understand that there are people that need to take care of their properties, but there are areas that are in our easements that we're gonna do things to make sure they're done. We're not putting them off, we're not posting. If we see something, I'll talk to Scott, I'll talk to Tom. When we see it, we'll assess it, and we're gonna get it cleaned up. So there's not any more of this, putting it on a list. This
Well, we're
drainage
one of the
service-
few cities that does not have a stormwater tax.
Right.
So all of the money that we're putting toward drainage comes from our budget number. There is no tax for that. So we're sort of robbing from Peter to pay Paul sometimes to, push it where we need it the most.
Right.
I talked to Scott about that a little bit, about us, like a surcharge on the stormwater utilities. But
We've had that conversation.
we have a low median income in Shepherdville, unfortunately.
We've kind of come up with a way to resolve that, so that's for another meeting, but I've got some ideas behind that.
Yeah, we're definitely trying to stay, go ahead, Brad.
I was just gonna ask you about the paving. I know we had a big number in there for the industrial park this year.
For the industrial park, so.
Yeah, because we had that $1 million in there for this year.
Right, so we've spent about 360 on the industrial park so far. Right now, we're spending about another 346 throughout the city. I've got a whole list of those streets that we're doing. And then we have another product that, we're gonna be putting out, that's gonna push us about another $240,000.
Okay, so we anticipate using that entire $1 million
Yes.
before the
Yeah,
fiscal
yeah.
year's over? Okay. Yeah, because the last,
Some of it will probably carry over,
Yeah, some of it
next
will.
year because they won't be able to finish it all. this
yeah, our
season.
last number was like, we'd spent like $5,000.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
No, no.
surely we're gonna.
No, and it's this time of the year, it's this time of the year. So,
It's,
go ahead, Jen.
So we don't wanna, we're not gonna put any we're just gonna put the 500, have 500,000 for next year. We're not gonna do another million for projects for the,
Well, we've got a little more money for projects that,
no, I mean for the paving.
for the paving portion. We're really hoping that 500,000 next year will get us in a pretty good spot.
So we got some more we're gonna get ready to talk about.
It's hard to do minutes when we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I asked about the paving, about the 500,000.
So can we, let me just, so I do want him to talk just for a minute about the sealer. Let's go ahead and talk about that because a pretty exciting product that we think could be really instrumental for the city. and repairing some of the roads, but really keeping our costs down as far as a long-term project. So,
Right.
you want to talk, Gus, a couple minutes about that?
So one thing about being able to reduce that cost for our road maintenance is a new product that we're trying. This product's been available for about 10 or 12 years in Indiana. They've come to Kentucky. They're gonna, actually, they want to use the city of Shepherdsville as a model city. They want us to be a partner city with them. And what that means is, so this company, they're called Sealmaster. Sealmaster is gonna come and they're gonna put the product down for us. We're gonna help them with it, but there will be no third-party installation. They are a sole source provider. We got all the documentation for that. And we're looking at roughly about $1.2 to $1.3 million worth of road to mill and fill, pave those roads. This product is gonna allow us to do something very similar to that and extend the life of our roads 5 to 7 years, but it's gonna cost us under $250,000.
Did y'all hear
So
that?
is it a pavement
Yeah,
or
it's really cool.
silver?
It's both.
Okay.
So what it does, it basically takes a road, and whatever the quality of that road currently is, it basically freezes it in time. So now it's gonna extend that life 5 to 7 years very easily. Now, our $500,000, that's where we're still gonna have to do some paving on some of these other ones that are just in terrible shape. But we're not gonna have to pave nowhere near as much as we had planned for.
And that's the reason that that number is reflected as 500,000
Absolutely. That's why it's important that you understand where those numbers are in life. Yep.
All right, so,
I just also want to say thank you because you did a lot of the roads that I've requested.
Well, you and Faith, all my guys, Report a Pothole.
Yes.
That, people think we just read them, throw them out, but
No,
Looks really good after
that's
all.
where they come from.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
so, before, I'm not sure if you got any questions. I do want to go into the other part here about this. This is the other $7.4 million. That's very important, because his budget is 9.3, if you don't see that. okay?
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's 9.3. So I want to break that down for everybody, and then kind of just, I want to get with you and Sam. But first of all, June 14th is the opening day back to the park. They're using
Allegedly.
that product. What? Don't do that. Don't do that to me. I got it written down on my calendar. I got it circled 3 times. Anyway, so with that and the sanitizing, they're actually using that product in there to do that whole road area there by the pavilion back towards Plum. We're gonna see what that looks like. And so we're excited to see what that product looks like on
That's
the
gonna be our
roads.
showcase too.
Okay.
So we're pretty excited about
Did you see
that.
it recently, because there's construction vehicles have tore it up a lot,
Well, we got, this is,
but, yeah, like,
they're not going back into that piece with construction equipment. No, but they're doing the Mulvaney and it's all in the front. So for you all, we had a budget for Public Works, which was 6.3. And the money that was allocated for that are the 4 projects. So I wanna make sure that the 3 million that we increased capital, projects in Public Works, the $1 million is for the playground that has not been utilized in this year's budget. That $1 million will be used next year's budget to finish the site plan, because we've paid for the playground already. We've just gotta get everything done there, splash pad, gaga ball court, basketball court, and all that stuff. The other 2,000 that's out of this year's budget that we had to carry over was the filtration building, which had the restrooms in it and has an office space in it. So that's gonna be there, and it's got some pavilions on the end of it. So that's the other piece. So that's the 3 million that we added to next year's budget. $1.6 million is for the amphitheater. That money is already scheduled for that project to be part of next year's projects. The other 1.6 is for the town square. There's $1.2 million still left in that account that goes for any more drainage, any bigger projects. Drainage, we got sidewalk issues that we're talking about, how we're gonna get the connectivity piece. Some of that's pretty expensive when it comes to concrete, so $1.2 million doesn't go a long way, does it? Yeah, so we've been discussing how we're gonna make the city get it connected, and that's a piece of that. So he's got that money in those accounts for those projects. So when you look at that 7.4, I think it's what this number is, and that 7.4 and that 404, that number is those items I just mentioned to you. Okay, so that breaks down that whole capital projects there, so you guys know that we've got money allocated. Because of the timetable, we had the stormwater delay there. We've got some things that are putting us behind, the flooding has put us behind.
Flooding
in some work.
delays, yeah. We've had a lot of delays this year.
So we did some work, and there's a lot of work. So Sam, you wanna come up here, you two can do this together. I want you guys to talk about the park and what's going on. But before you do that, Sam, will you tell them about the project you and Jody are working on?
Yeah, is this related to the budget?
It is, because that money has to be, I wanna make, well, we got the Parks Rec, the Parks Rec piece has to be part of budgetary process.
So, I had done a presentation maybe a month or so ago, about the property behind Fire Station 2. I will talk more about this at the next council meeting on the 27th. But I am currently working on a grant, and it's looking really good. So I think that's a go. I've already had Fish and Wildlife out there. They shocked the fish, did a survey. I'll have that report in the next week or two if you're interested. As far as the city park is concerned, unfortunately, again, you know, it's taken a long time for us to get the park reopened, but we have kind of chosen to use this as an opportunity to do a little facelift, you know, do some landscaping, some things while we're still trying to get, like, the playground is the big part. I don't know if you all are aware, but we've had to replace the mulch. That has been a job and a half, and then the fence as well around the playground. So that being said, we chose to use this as an opportunity to, like, the paving, the landscaping, things like that. So fingers crossed, June 14th, we'll be back up and running.
The reason I wanted to bring it up, because the projects that we're doing now is gonna carry on for next year. So what we're doing is that money that we have in that capital works, capital projects, that has to be utilized for some of these things as we move forward, because we really wanna finish up the park. I just wanted you to hear that piece as we're gonna get it cleaned up, but we are trying to utilize money, but we are gonna carry that over, and we'll be looking at that money. We'll make sure everybody knows what we're doing when we use it. I wanted to throw that out there, okay. Anyway, so, I don't know what else, first of all, what do you guys have for them? I mean, we've talked about a lot of things here, but, anything about the capital projects? Obviously, we know we've got 16 million going next year to get our aquatic center complete, and they're looking really good. Things are coming along really nice there. Pretty excited about all that.
Well, I do love that we're looking at the drainage, because Scott and Jeff were in my neighborhood, and everybody was very excited, weren't they?
You were the favorite people. Well, we've been we really
But we
do.
needed that. People need to see us out there reaching out to them. That's my opinion, you know.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you, because that is part of, I mean, it's not just about the projects that we're doing in the city. It is about drainage. It is about roads. You know, we struggle with traffic at times. We struggle with, obviously, water. But we are going to continue to do things as we do these major projects to the city. The transformation is gonna be amazing the next year for the things that we're gonna see. So I'm pretty excited about that. But I do know, I appreciate you guys doing that. We reach out to you guys and, you know, getting potholes fixed, and I do appreciate you and Jennifer putting that list together. Let's keep that list going.
We did most of it.
Okay?
We just gave him some ideas.
No, but I appreciate that. I think,
Pointed him in the direction.
okay, well, I appreciate
We
that.
appreciate it, Tom, very much.
Any
We appreciate
questions?
it.
All your guys.
Bobby,
And
do you have
Sam.
anything? Brad, you guys good? Jennifer,
All
you
your
good?
guys.
Okay, so Rob, are you good down there?
I was gonna just say, that, cause we were talking about roads a minute ago, and there is a municipal aid,
That goes for you too.
line, like 100 some thousand.
119, I think so.
Yeah, so, the MAP funds, we're generally looking at about $200,000 a year thereabouts, with our current state of times, cause that's based on a tax. So when you look at that $1 million number you asked about, actually Jennifer asked about, we had basically 1.2 in there for our roads. And when, Brad had asked about, what was going where, if you added those numbers up real quick, it was a little over $1 million. That's where the rest of that funding's coming from, is the MAP funds. MAP funds has to be spent on roads. It can be spent on signs, blacktop, that type of thing, so.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Ms. Bates, you good? Mike? Anything you wanna?
Mike,
We're
you're
good.
quiet tonight.
Listening.
All right, well, Tom, Sam, really appreciate it. I know we got a lot of
Absolutely.
things. We'll keep you all posted. And as we get
Anything,
things kinda going
shoot
along,
us an email.
we'll send you an email.
Thank you all.
All right, well,
bet.
thank you so much. I appreciate that. Tom, I forgot to say hi to you too. How you doing, Tom? I know you snuck in on us. All right, I don't know, for you guys, I mean, obviously, you got some of the questions that way. Obviously, if you come up with any questions, please feel free to email them on any concerns or thoughts. Our budgets are not that different from last year. I made that point earlier, but it really isn't. It's about 1% up as far as 1 or 2%, I think I had on there. The one as far as the actual expense from last year, if you take out the carryover money and the loan money, it's not but 1.01. So I think the biggest thing is, a lot of the departments down a little bit. Obviously, we mentioned about the SRO. We actually stated out more with the police department. We were gonna show you that expense, because it's outside of their day-to-day operations. It's a commitment we made with the school board. So I wanted you to know that when you look at their budget and making those comparisons. But there's a lot of the similarities in this year's budget and other budgets. But if you go through it again, you got the big sheets now, not the small print. If you go through and find some things, please reach out to them. Do I have any other questions or anything else you wanted to add in it? All right, all right. Well, if we're through anything,
The only thing I have to say is, once, I guess you guys get final numbers, I guess this is the proposed that the mayor's proposing. So, once you guys have, maybe didn't, whatever, I need somebody to sponsor the ordinances before the next meeting.
we'll have one for the, as she's getting these ordinance ready, this is one for the sewer, and this is one for the general fund. And then what you'll have, you both will have, anything we've corrected or anything we've talked about with Angie, you'll have the report behind it. Okay? You'll have a line item budget report, and you'll have the same thing for the general fund. You'll have both of them with you, but you're approving these two that are up front. We just need sponsors for both of them.
I'll sponsor the sewer.
Okay,
I'll sponsor general fund.
okay. Well, thank you all so much for that. See, you got see, I told you she was your
Are
friend.
we gonna get hard copies of that on the
You,
computer?
no, we're gonna, once we get it done, I mean, you have, okay, real quick, before you guys forget, what you have right now,
Okay, fine.
you've got, we sent you all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
Yes,
we'll-
we got it.
yeah, if we clean, whatever we clean up, we'll send you a original, new, hot off the press one. All right, we got that? So you got your two sponsors, anything else that you need? And Catherine will actually have, the whole job, description thing and what she's got to present, so she'll get that to you as well. And then we have 2 collective bargaining, so we have 5 ordinances that we will have.
We'll have a long meeting.
Well, we'll have a long meeting on the Tuesday, the 27th, but then it's the June 9th is the second reading on that, so I think we'll be okay with all that. I think we'll be pretty good. But please reach out to them if you have any other questions. If we don't have any other questions, I motion to.
Motion to adjourn?
All right, I kept looking at Rob, but then I tried to turn away. See some-
Second.
You got a second on that? All right, all right.
Mike,
Yes.
Kate,
Yes.
Rob,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
Brad,
Yes.
and Bonnie.
Listen,
Yes.
council, thank you all so much. I appreciate it.